in the beginning of the creation, Lord Brahma wanted so much to see the original form of Mahavishnu. So he was told to go to the banks of the ocean of milk to perform tapasya and chant the holy names. So for over 1,000 celestial years, Lord Brahma sat on the shore of the ocean of milk, chanting the names of the Lord, fasting. He wanted to see the Lord. And from the ocean of milk arose a beautiful golden vimana, surrounded by the four Kumaras, Gandharvas, Apsaras, and all other great personalities, great sages and rishis, Ananta, Shesh, and Garuda. They were fanning with chamaras and offering all sorts of songs and gifts. Inside the vimana, Sri Ranganath appeared by his own sweet will after 1,000 celestial years of tapasya in loving devotion by Brahma. So this deity became Lord Brahma's life and soul. He built a beautiful temple and installed Sri Ranganath in Satyaloka, the abode of Lord Brahma. For a long time he worshipped this deity. And then he made Pujari Suryadev, the presiding deity of the sun. And Suryadev later on gave responsibility of worshipping on behalf of Brahma to his son by Vishwat Manu. And later on, the puja was offered to the son of Manu, Ikshvaku. Now Ikshvaku, he had his kingdom in Ayodhya, in this world, descendant of the solar dynasty. And Ikshvaku was thinking that now all of my relatives, and my father, Vaivashvat Manu, my grandfather, Surya, my great-grandfather, Brahma, they can easily go to Satyaloka to have darshan and do the puja. But in the future, my descendants will not have the power to go to Satyaloka. And I want them to be able to worship this deity. So Ikshvaku had a very, very deep longing to bring Ranganath from Satyaloka to the earth planet. And in order to do so, he performed very, very serious austerities. During the summer, Ikshvaku lit 5 blazing fires around him and sat directly under the sun and meditated on the lotus feet of the Lord. During the rainy season, he just sat right in the rain, and he would go under ice cold freezing water up to his neck and remain there for the entire 4 months of the winter season. So Indra was thinking that anyone who is doing these austerities must want to take away my opulences. So Indra, he was afraid. If I have so much, if he's getting powers, he may take it away. So he sent Kamadev, and Kamadev brought his entourage. There was Urvasi, and there was Menaka, and so many. And they were dancing and they were singing. And so Ikshvaku, after a long time, he opened his eyes, he looked at them, and he offered his obeisances to all of the Apsaras. Cupid was so angry, he just shot the arrow of Kama right into his heart. And then he offered his obeisances to Cupid, and he considered them special guests. So he was offering them Argya and Achman and all these nice articles of worship and honoring them, and they were totally embarrassed. He had no lust, he had no anger, he was just offering them respect and honor. So they were just standing like statues, stunned, and they had to go back to Indra and tell him. Before they went back to Indra, they said, "We bless you that Ranganath comes down and all your desires are fulfilled." Then Indra came. He brought his thunderbolt. But as soon as he brought out his thunderbolt, Ikshvaku just prayed at the lotus feet of Lord Ranganath, and Ranganath's Sudarshan Chakra came and neutralized Indra. And ultimately the news came to Lord Brahma that Ikshvaku was doing so much austerity with such a spirit of selfless devotion to bring Ranganath to the earth. So Lord Brahma was feeling heartbroken. that he came before Ranganath in Satyaloka and wept tears. He bathed the deity of Ranganath with these tears. He said, "My Lord, Ikshvaku's doing all this tapasya. Are you going to leave me and go to earth? If you leave me and go to earth, then how will I live? You are my life, you are my soul, you are my everything. Worshipping you is my heart, my love. Please don't leave." And Ranganath replied that Ikshvaku is serving me with great love and devotion. I must go to the earth to satisfy his desire. But have no fear, because he said, "You worship me in the morning for Mangalarti, and after you do your morning puja, I'll go down to Ayodhya, and later on, you'll see, I'll also go to the banks of the Cauvery. And because the time of Brahmaloka and the time of the earth is so different," he said, "I'll be there for the span of many, many manus, for a span of tens of millions of years. I'll be on earth, and by the time it's time for the noon offering, I'll come back here to Brahmaloka. So you will not miss a single offering to me. You do offering, I'll go down to earth. By their calculation, millions of years. By yours, I'll be back for the next offering." So Lord Brahma was very happy. And then Lord Brahma himself put Ranganath on the back of his swan in his vimana. And Lord Brahma came down, descended to the earth, to Ayodhya, and fulfilled all the desires of Ikshvaku. So Ikshvaku built a beautiful temple and worshipped Sri Ranganath as his life and soul in the holy city of Ayodhya. And many, many generations later, there was King Dasarath. King Dasarath was such a wonderful king. He satisfied all of his citizens like a father to his children. But he had no son. So he was performing a yajna for that purpose. And he invited many, many great kings who were his friends from all around the world to attend. And one of those kings was named Dharmavarman, the king of the Chola dynasty. Now when Dharmavarma saw the beauty of Ranganath, his heart melted in ecstatic love. He wanted to serve Ranganath so dearly, and he was thinking that Ikshvaku performed great tapasya to bring Ranganath from Satyaloka to Ayodhya. I am going to perform the same type of tapasya to bring Ranganath from Ayodhya to the banks of the Cauvery river near Chandrapushkarini. So after the yajna, Dharmavarma Raj came back to Chandrapushkarini. He performed great austerities, meditating on the Lord and chanting his holy names, praying for his appearance in Srirangam. Meanwhile, Dasarath Maharaj had 4 children. Ram and the whole family, the Ishtadev of Ayodhya, was Ranganath, because he was the worshipable deity of all of their forefathers, of the whole Ikshvaku dynasty. Sri Ram was banished for 14 years, and during the last year Sita was abducted by Ravana. Sri Ramchandra built the bridge across to Sri Lanka and fought that great battle, defeated Ravana. And then Lord Ram coronated Ravana's younger brother Vibhishan as king, and brought Vibhishan back to Ayodhya with him, where Ramchandra performed the Rajasuya Yajna and the whole coronation ceremony. When Vibhishan was told by Ram to go back to Sri Lanka and be king, Vibhishan did not want to go. He had surrendered his life, his heart, to Lord Ramchandra. How can I live in separation from you, my Lord? Not possible. I don't want to be a king. I don't want anything. I only want your loving service. I only want to render menial service to you as the servant of your servant of your service. But Ramchandra said, no, it is your duty. you must go to Sri Lanka to be king. And Sri Ramchandra, just to express his love and gratitude to Vibhishan, Ramchandra gave to him the Ishtadev of his entire dynasty. Ramchandra said, you can take Ranganath with you to Sri Lanka and worship him there for the rest of your life, and you should know that he is not different from me. Vibhishan was so happy, so honored that Ram was going to come with him to live forever in Sri Lanka in his beautiful form of Ranganatha So Vibhishan was carrying him. And meanwhile, Dharmavarman was still performing his tapasya. Now some of the sages and rishis and brahmins of this area, they said to Dharmavarman, why are you doing all this tapasya? Your kingdom is totally pious. You don't have to atone for anything. But Dharmavarman said, I am doing this to bring Ranganath, the Lord of my life. And the sages told him that long ago the benediction was given that Ranganath will come to live here. And when Vibhishan was passing by this area, he placed Ranganath down between the two rivers, two branches of the river Cauvery on the banks of Chandra Pushkarini. And then Dharmavarman said to Vibhishan that actually there's a 9-day festival that has been celebrated by the Ikshvaku dynasty since time immemorial, and that time has come now. So let us worship him for the next 9 days here. So Vibhishan said, yes, 9 days. And they performed the pujas, and they had a grand festival for Ranganath. At the end of 9 days, when Vibhishan went to pick up Ranganathji, Ranganath would not move. Vibhishan cried. Tears flowed and washed the Lord's lotus feet. Vibhishan said, I cannot live without you, my Lord. Why are you not moving? And Ranganathji said that this is my home on earth. King Dharmavarman and all of these devotees here, they love me so much. And you also love me so much. And because you love me, you only want what I want. What will give me the greatest pleasure is to stay here between these two rivers of the Cauvery. And Vibhishan said, that is a wonderful idea. I will also stay here. He was really detached. And Ranganath said, no, Ramchandra has already coronated you the king of Sri Lanka. You must go there. He said, but I will lay here, and I will always be facing in the direction of Sri Lanka. And you should always know that I am watching you. You will always feel my presence. Now you go and you perform your service. So Vibhishan returned to Sri Lanka, and Sri Ranganath remained here. Dharmavarman built a beautiful temple. However, after many, many generations went by, due to floods and storms, the deity and the temple were gone. The personal Ishtadev of Lord Brahma, Surya, Manu, Ikshvaku, the Ishtadev of Ramchandra and his whole dynasty, and the great king Dharmavarman, the deity's gone. Some people heard of